Sydney and Melbourne, Australia's two major cities, are often comically competitive for the title of the country's best city, both delivering a comparable number of classic Australian experiences for guests. They are nevertheless extremely diverse creatures that appeal to tourists of different stripes. Sydney, Australia's first European metropolis, has a sun and spectacle reputation that Melbourne cannot match. Often mistaken for the country's political capital, it is in reality the unrivaled hub of money, celebrity culture, and tourism, ideally suited to people who want beaches and bling. Yet many tourists choose Melbourne. Its abundance of clubs, street art, creative culture, significant events, and more European cityscapes compensate for its lack of breathtaking natural beauty and weather shortcomings. In this video, we put up with the ultimate Aussie battle. Should you visit Melbourne or Sydney? Welcome to our YouTube channel, and before we begin the video, don't forget to hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Let's start with location. Sydney has the superior position, sitting picturesquely on Australia's Pacific coast, roughly 550 miles or 885 kilometers northeast of Melbourne, in one of the world's greatest urbanized harbors. Distances are great in Australia, which is approximately the size of the continental United States, so Sydney's proximity to other great Australian tourism experiences such as the Blue Mountains, Byron Bay, and the beaches and rainforests of northern NSW, as well as Queensland and the Great Barrier Reef, make it a natural choice for many. However, Melbourne has its advantages as well, including access to mountains and ski fields such as Mount Buller and Mount Hotham, proximity to the beaches of the famed Great Ocean Road, and an overnight ferry to the incredible island of Tasmania, which has stunning produce and pockets of the virgin rainforest that once covered Gondwanaland. Both cities are within easy reach of great wine regions, like Melbourne's cool climate Yarra Valley and Sydney's Semolina-rich Hunter Valley. Outdoor activities and sports. Sydney is more of an outdoors powerhouse than Melbourne, surrounded by the blue haze of the Blue Mountains and edged by famed beaches such as Bondi and Manly. On a sunny day, kayaking in Middle Harbour is a thrill, weaving between multi-million-dollar boats and isolated woody bays, while climbing the Sydney Harbour Bridge is a genuine bucket list event. Melbourne, on the other hand, can compete to some extent with good bike routes, hot air ballooning, one of the few cities in the world where you can float above due to the airport's distance from town, and trekking in the Dandenong Ranges, which define Melbourne's eastern boundary. Both towns are adjacent to rugged, eucalyptus-scented National Park, but Sydney has more local alternatives, including Ku-ring-gai Chase, Maramara on the lovely Hawkesbury River, and the magnificent cliffs of Royal National Park. Eating out. In any city, you'll dine like royalty. Australians are treated rotten with a fantastic global dining scene and access to top-tier fresh vegetables, while Sydney is more often identified with serious fine dining establishments like Area, with its unrivaled view of the famous Opera House, or Wonderkind of Chef Peter Gilmore's Quay. Both cities strike the culinary high and low notes with a similar surety. For instance, Melbourne's eating culture holds nothing back from its northern counterpart when it comes to the incredible cuisine at Gimlet, the newest crowning achievement of the city's kitchen king, Andrew McConnell. Conversely, Sydney institutions like Surrey Hills, Thai Nirvana, and Spice One Amcan compete with anything in Melbourne's lexicon of affordable but memorable Asian delights. Melbourne is also known for elevating brunch and coffee to new heights. Try the Kettle Black in South Melbourne or Rudimentary in Footscray. Pubs, clubs, and bars. Small bars, live music, and back alley pubs are two areas where Melbourne clearly outperforms Sydney. Liberal liquor licensing regulations translate into a variety of after-hours alternatives, whether your fancy is cocktails as art at the Everleigh, or getting lost in the city's famed rock culture at the historic Cherry Bar, which is thriving again after a brief absence. Sydney's stricter licensing system, including contentious lockout rules, makes it less appealing to night owls wanting to party until dawn. Instead, go for glitzy rooftop bars or large neighborhood beer gardens for a relaxed outdoor drink. And Sydney's status as Australia's queer capital is celebrated at venues such as Escrinsville Imperial Hotel, which was featured in the 1994 film The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Redfern's Bearded Tit, while Darlinghurst is not only packed with clubs and pubs, but also serves as the epicenter of pride celebrations during Sydney's annual Mardi Gras. Art galleries and museums. Excellent galleries and museums can be found in both Sydney and Melbourne. The Australian Museum explores Australia's millennia of pre-colonial history and long-gone megafauna, while the Powerhouse Museum focuses on science, technology, and contemporary design. Sydney is home to the Art Museum of New South Wales and the Museum of Contemporary Art, as well as the cutting-edge White Rabbit Gallery devoted to Chinese contemporary art. The National Gallery of Victoria maintains 2 campuses in Melbourne, one for its worldwide collection of traveling exhibits, and the other, the Ian Potter Centre at Federation Square, is entirely for Australian artists, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists. The city's laneways are strewn with street art and multi-story murals. Finally, the Melbourne Museum exhibits the city's natural and cultural heritage. Shopping options. When it comes to shopping, there isn't much to choose between the two cities. Both have a wide range of local boutique apparel shops, enormous malls with worldwide names, and traditional food markets offering Australia's seasonal bounty. Oxford Street in Sydney is the place to go for fashion, Darling Street for shops and bookstores, and Paddy's Market and Haymarket for quirky Australian souvenirs to take home. Sydney boasts a thriving makers market and vintage culture, including tiny markets in Paddington and Glebe. The downtown core of Melbourne is fantastic for shopping, and there are additional alternatives in Fitzroy and Prahan. Queen Victoria Market is a Melbourne must-see for fashion and Australian souvenirs, as well as a top-quality vegetables and gorgeously tiled deli hall brimming with gastronomic goodies. A night market lures visitors once a week for hawker-style cuisine and live entertainment. What's best for the weather? For most of the year, Sydney is t-shirt weather, with average maximums rarely falling below 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius in winter, or June to August. But tourists to Melbourne should carry some warm clothing just in case of a cold shift. Temperatures in Melbourne may be sweltering, particularly from January to March, with daily highs of more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius not uncommon. Plan for rain in any city. Although droughts are becoming more common in Australia, Sydney in particular may be rainy at any time of the year and is always more humid than its southern counterpart. What about costs and transport? While the cost of living in Sydney is high, just slightly lower than in London, Melbourne isn't far behind. In any city, expect to spend at least $100 Australian for a mid-range luncheon for 2 and roughly $4.50 for a one-way ticket on public transportation networks that are sufficient but well below the standards established in many other cities of similar size throughout the globe. Both cities have apparently limitless suburbs, yet neither is simple to get around by car owing to traffic congestion, a byproduct of slow public transport investments, which are now finally being prioritized. Cycling has taken root in both cities, although Melbourne is clearly more bike-friendly, having off-road cycling paths on disused railroad lines and a far lower hilly terrain than harbourside Sydney. Melbourne residents are proud of their huge tram network, and antique trams are a delight to ride through the city centre. However, Sydney offers ferries, which are a genuinely amazing way to move around. Both cities are fantastic places to visit, yet they're notably different. If you've never been to Australia before and are seeking conventional tourist activities and Instagrammable bliss, Sydney may be the finest option. However, if you're looking for a location where you'll have to scratch the surface a bit to unearth some rich culture, Melbourne is a good place to start. This is all from today's video. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any of our upcoming videos.